shame is one of the strongest feelings in this world. Society is so intolerant to what they are not familiar with. Caregivers many people inflict shame on them. For you to identify trauma, it's something that you went through that really hurt you, and you can't be able to process it like alone.
Welcome to My Mother's Voice podcast, where we share real life stories and advocate for neuro inclusivity. I'm your host, Edna Myra, and you're listening to Mother's Voice. And today's episode, I am so excited about this one. Why? Because I have a wonderful person on set. She is my friend, she is my Bible study mate, and she has done a lot when it comes to helping people heal. And I don't mean healing in terms of sickness, but she's a shame and trauma healer. You may start questioning yourself and wondering, shame and trauma healer, what is that? I also didn't know it was a thing. But thank God she is here. She's going to explain a lot about that. So hold on tight. You don't want to miss this. Listen till the end because we have amazing, amazing content for you. I don't want to spoil this for her, so I will going to allow her to introduce herself. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for honoring our call. Thank you for honoring our invite, for taking your time to be here on this podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here and also to give my input and expertise on regarding this topic. My name is Esther Jumma. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 2 girls. I'm a shame and trauma healer, and I'm also an author of a book. It's called Breaking the Cycle of Shame. Stay tuned, and I hope you will be blessed because I know God is here and God wants us all to be healed and to live a safe life. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Esther. So one reason why I really thought it was a great idea to bring you on board, apart from being the author of Breaking the Cycle of Shame, this is her book, Breaking the Cycle of Shame, which we are going to look at later on. So you don't want to miss that because you want to hear what's in this book. It's amazing, amazing content. So Esther, as you may know, I'm a parent to a neurodivergent child. She's on the spectrum. You've interacted with her. You know her very well. And one thing that I went through just after we had received the diagnosis of my child was a lot of shame and trauma, really, because the news hit us hard. I've talked about my story in a few episodes behind, but just to tell you just a bit of my story, I'll share my story so that if there's someone outside there who went through what I went through or is going through what I went through, they can plug in and know how to turn all these feelings that we get to feel into strength. And I remember when our daughter was diagnosed with autism, it was a down moment, a down moment in our lives. One, this wasn't something that we knew of. You know, the way we say, okay, then we called them ugonjwa, diseases. You know, the way we say, these are the diseases of the West. You will never imagine that your child will have such a thing. We are just used to the normal things like malaria, you know, a cold, a flu here and there, something treatable and it's done. But now you're being given a diagnosis of a condition that you don't really know of. So it hit us so hard. And I remember for some time, I started treating my daughter like it was a quick fix thing. Like, let's fix it. Let's buy medication or get what we need to get to fix you. And what that quick fix mentality made me, it made me disconnect, number one, with the child because I was not there as a mother or a caregiver to this child. Instead, I wanted to fix that which I felt was wrong with the child. So a lot of my mind, energy, a lot of time was being spent on looking for solutions instead of understanding this child. One thing that happened to me and even my husband is that for a while we did not talk about it. Nobody wanted to confront that which is here. What is autism? What does it mean for our child to have autism? What does that mean in our life to have a child who is autistic? So nobody is confronting the issue. We are all dealing with different emotions. I was a very emotional person. Let me tell you. We would meet with you and you ask me, Myra, how are you doing? I start crying. Instead of telling you how exactly, I will just start crying. And because of that, anyone who would meet me and ask me, how is your child? Why is your child not speaking? Isn't she 3 years? Instead of answering them, I would cry. I will not want to be confronted by anyone who is asking me anything about the child. Why are you asking me about my child? I mean, and that made me a very emotional person. I became annoyed. I became angry because you see, whenever we meet something that is not quote unquote normal to us, we ask questions. There are those who will just stare at you with a weird eye, a gaze, but there are those who will be bold enough to ask questions, especially our family members. So I did not want to be confronted with such questions. So what did I do? I stopped visiting people. I stopped visiting my family members. I don't go to see them in their houses. Whenever there are parties, they also didn't invite me and I was okay with it. But deep down, I was dying. And then you see, as people got to know my girl, it's like, you come for the party, but your child is not invited. Exactly. And you see, for me, if you don't accept my child, then you don't accept me. So I will just not go. And inside, I died because a light of the social aspect of my life died. I am naturally a sanguine. I love being where people are. I love talking. I love just meeting new people, meeting old friends and just catching up. I am naturally a sanguine. So you can imagine what that did to me. It really put me in this world, in this cocoon. One, I didn't understand what was going on. Two, it was just so hard for me even to talk about something that I didn't know. Autism is new, even in our country, Kenya. Now is when a lot of autistic persons are coming up and all that. It's being diagnosed, so it's fairly new. And because I was just learning it, I didn't know what to tell other people. If you came and asked me, okay, why isn't your child talking? And I'll say, oh, she's autistic. She's non-verbal autistic. So the next question will be like, what is autism? I also don't know what autism is. So instead of answering those questions, I'll just cry or get annoyed or tell you I don't feel like talking and just avoid all that. And that was taking a toll on my marriage because now nobody is confronting an issue. It was taking a toll on my relationship with my children. I have 2 girls, so it was taking a toll with my relationship with my children, both of them, because now I'm in this space whereby I cannot become fully who I'm supposed to be to them. I am dealing with my own emotions. So I'm in a small cocoon. And it was a really tough time. Maybe as we continue, you could start first by telling us, what does it mean to be in shame or in trauma? And what does it mean for you to be a shame and trauma healer? Because I know many people asking, ala, kuna healer kama huyo? What does it mean to be a shame and trauma healer?
So basically, what I do is ministry, and God called me into it to heal people who are brokenhearted. And trauma is a heart wound. It's a wound of the heart. So it's something that you go through that really hurt you so much, and that you can't navigate around it. So like for your case, you've talked about the moment you just had your child is autistic, and you say that your heart dropped. Like that was now a wound that was created. Like it's something that you never imagined could happen to you. And So for using your example, we'll use your example just to narrow it down to the scope of what we're talking today. So what the first time you received the news, that news was traumatic for you because first it's something that you never imagined, and then second, it's something that is involving your child, and you know anything that involves our children causes us pain. And then it's something that is different. You've never heard about it. So what you went through was trauma. And then after trauma comes in shame. And so, like, I'll be using your story because I know it's basically what many people have, are going through that the stage and the process. So, the after that, the second thing that crops in is okay. So God saw that I'm the one to carry this burden. So it starts with now feeling that God does not love you. And shame is one of the strongest feelings in this world, whereby it comes from a negative self evaluation, where you feel flawed because you have not met a certain standard, or because you are not like a standard that has been set. Because you know, society sets standards. Yeah, but it's usually this, it's a lie in the head. So the first feeling that you went through after the trauma, the next feeling was shame. Like now the first feeling was shame towards the feeling like God does not love you because why was I chosen? Yani mimi kwa hiyo list tu wakasema Edna, wewe ndio you're the one that your child should be this way.
Yeah, and you see, I love what you're saying, because whenever I would mingle with people, maybe in a social setting, and then now we talk about maybe my child being autistic, I remember there's this thing people say, don't worry, God cannot give you what you cannot handle, which is true, because it's written in the word that God cannot give you what it is that you cannot handle, or cannot give you a testing that is beyond you, which is true. But you see, again, you're like questioning God and saying, who said I'm your toughest soldier? Who said I am the tough one?
Exactly.
I don't want to be the tough one. And also, now later on, you will talk about now how other people should treat us, and maybe a few things and words they should be telling us. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it starts with now towards God, and most of it always, like for example, when I was diagnosed with a chronic illness, because I've been suffering from a chronic illness for the past 20 years, the first thing is like, God, kwani ni mimi tu ndio ulichagua? And then you feel like God has rejected you. God does not love you because he wants you to suffer, and he gave you this, it's like God gave you this burden, and you feel like he hates you because other people, they don't have that burden, but you're the one who has been singled out to carry that burden. So that is the first sign of shame. When we feel like God, actually it starts from God, we feel like God does not love us. And now from there, it comes now to, I am not good enough. If my creator does not love me, I am not good enough. I am not important. Now, like now for your case, you're like, I'm probably must have been a bad mother because there's something I might have done. And most of these, like broad, the spectrum caregivers, most of them feel like I might have done something wrong, you know. And sometimes it's even, I think people, society, you know, sometimes religious aspects, we have this thing for like, this one might have done something wrong, or maybe you might have been cast. So, you know, all those things come. I'm cast, am I cast? Am I God, I did something bad? Am I not good enough? Now that's the second shame now. Now the second aspect of shame, where you feel like you're not good enough. Yeah.
And I'm resonating so much with what you're saying, because you see, as of date, today, autism's cause has not been found.
Yes.
However, there are things that can attribute to a child being autistic, right? So it could be several things. For example, if the mother had prolonged labor, if of course, if you have maybe someone in your lineage who is autistic, it can also be found in your lineage. However, there is no significant thing that can say, this child is autistic because of da 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 da. No, it's just speculations. Research has not yet approved like this a cause of autism. So you see, the person who is usually blamed most of the time, if a child has a defect, is the mother. And while as a neurodivergent advocate, I do talk to a lot of parents who have children who are special. And let me tell you, many of them are single mothers. Why? Most of them, their marriages end. The fathers don't want to be seen near the child or, to be told or associated with the child, so that they don't want to look like you're the one who sired a special needs child. There's something wrong with you. And many of these women have been they're being pointed at. Why are you giving birth like that? In our lineage, we don't see any autistic child. We don't see any child who is dyslexic. We don't see any ADHD. So why are you giving birth to such a child? And for a long time, I battled with that before I came to understand and know that autism actually has no cause. I looked at my life thoroughly. And I was pointing fingers to myself and wondering, am I such a bad mother? Did I really take good care of myself when I was pregnant? What might have happened? What can I do differently? What would I have done differently? And you see, you cannot take back time. You've already given birth. There's no way you'll return this child in your womb and now start doing things differently. And that is something that very many parents go through. Even the fathers, they question themselves. They even question, why did I marry this girl? I should have gone with the other girl that I probably would have chosen. Why did I choose this lady? Are my seeds bad? Yeah, so I'm really resonating to what you're saying.
So that's the second aspect of shame. And then now the third aspect is the one that is being inflicted on you by others, like what you've talked about. Society loves familiar things. Society loves puts a standard to things. So society is so intolerant to what they are not familiar with. So we see that caregivers are, many people inflict shame on them. So now it's like a back and forth. You go through, they inflict shame on you, then that's trauma, because now they're giving you all these sorts of names. They're telling you, kwetu, we didn't have such children, you must have been the problem, you must have been a witch. Other people have been told they were practicing witchcraft. Other people were told funny things. Maybe you aborted very many times, so now you're paying for, yeah. So now you see all these things. Now this is trauma. Because now you have to deal with all those negative words. And again, those negative words are inflicting shame on you. Now you're like, anyway, baby, what if what they're saying is true? So they tell you, you don't come with your child. So you're like, baby, I think then I'm not good enough because my child is this way. So I'm not important. I'm not worthy of love. And most of the time, society makes these caregivers of children who are born differently, society makes them feel like they are not worthy to be part of society.
True.
Because wewe uliza this kind of person. So you don't even need to be part of us. Wewe kaa tu, uko tu kwenye uko. Yeah. So you see, it really pains me to see what caregivers are going through. Because we really lack empathy towards what they're going through. No one said that everyone should be born the same. Imagine if everyone was born the same, how the world would be. it would be a very boring place where everyone is the same height, we are all the same color, we are just the same, you know. And I strongly believe that God created people differently so we can coexist and help each other in different ways. Yeah, so we can't just inflict shame on someone just because they are a caregiver to someone who is born differently.
True.
Yeah.
And we also can't inflict shame of those who have been born.
Yeah, differently. Yeah, yeah.
As a neuro diversity advocate, my voice was born because of my child who is abled differently, who is autistic. So in my line or in my journey of healing, I did not, there are things that I went through that I felt like no mother or no parent should go through the same way. Just to help someone out there that, yes, you know, they say experiences teach you better. But for me, I'm of a different school of thought. I usually feel like if someone else went through it, you don't have to go through it to learn those lessons. Just learn from someone else who has gone through that. Before we talk about the healing journey and how it begins and what other people should do, maybe we could also talk about other aspects that shame can bring about in life. We've talked of anxiety. You can mention any other issues. You talked, I don't know if you exhausted the stages. You talked of the first stage being you blame God, you ask why me. The second stage is where now the society starts pointing a finger at you, reminding you how different you are, reminding you that you have, you know, a child on the spectrum or a child who is abled differently. Are there any other things?
Now the next stage, because now you know shame is always a cycle. It starts from here. So it starts from maybe a traumatic event, then it goes now to you, and then other people, and it's more like a cycle. So now for you, now you have that shame. People have inflicted shame on you. The next thing is now you will inflict that shame on your child. Yeah. So now you'll inflict that shame on your child who is born different.
How is that done?
Now, because now you feel like now you're not good enough and everything, you'll be like, no, my child is not good enough. She's not going to be loved by everyone. So let me lock her in the house. Yeah. Let me lock her in the house. No one should talk to her, or because that's what most of them do. They isolate the child because now they feel this child is just you ataniletea nini, you know. And it comes from the point of we have put this child in a box where we are comparing now this child to other children out there. So you're like, no, me, my child is the one who is different. So you know that energy, the child picks it. And this child will grow up feeling, mom does not love me like these other people. It's because I'm different. Ama why kwa nini watu wengine wanaenda out nini, mimi naachwangwa tu kwa nyumba. Now when they grow up, so this child grows up with shame, feeling like they are not important, they are unworthy. And most of the time, like I've witnessed some, their parents, some of them, they really don't. Now they're like, no, I can't deal with you because your whole aspect is something that I can't, it's so traumatic, so I'll avoid it. And shame makes us avoid. Like you've talked about, you're avoiding with your husband, the feeling.
Talk about it.
Shame loves being avoided or taking the blame game. So you'll just avoid it. You'll be like, I don't want to deal with that. Or there are others who hire a lot of caregivers with me, I've just hired for her. Other caregivers, me, I'll just continue with my life. Well, these children, all they need is love. All a child needs is love.
True. I'm really identifying with what you're saying because you see, for me, when my journey began, as we took care of our autistic child, I felt like I did not lock my child in the house. But the thing is, I did not also expose her. Number one, maybe whenever we went to the malls and all that, I didn't want to go with her. And then anytime I went with her, it's only because I have to go with her. So a lot of times I almost locked her in. So it was like, my husband, you stay with the child, I go do this and that. Or you go do that, I'll stay in with the child. So that is also another form of locking the child in. You don't want to expose your child. And as I started the journey of healing and healing well, I realized that was what was happening. I've interacted with a lot of caregivers, and they've written off their child. And you see, unfortunately for the neurodivergent persons, is that when you think they cannot do it, you will not teach them, hence they will not learn it, and hence they will not do it, and it will confirm what you thought of them. And now you will think, I was right, they can't swim, they can't cook, they can't be independent, because we've written them off and we do not teach them these things. And so we decided, as we healed, we decided with my husband that this child, we will give them the best there is. Exactly. We will not deny them anything that we are giving the sister. So even if it's a school, we will look for an equivalent school like the child, the sister. If it's going through education, we will look at what is best for the child. If it's medical, we will look at the best equivalent with the sister that we can give them. We will expose her to a lot of things. Even in cooking, my child right now is 4 years old, but she knows how to stir things in the cooking pot. She can apply for herself the margarine on the bread. We expose her to things. Whenever the dad goes to the garage, she takes her with her. So you will find the dad under the car and the child under the car trying to knock things and all that, because we learned that when we deny this child, one, we are being unfair, and two, it's like we are telling God, you didn't know which plans you have for this child. We are the ones to write these plans. But the fact that God has entrusted us with this child, one day we will stand before God
and be accountable.
That I gave you this child. What did you do with the child? So we took a stand to not make our child miss out on anything that a child needs to do. When it comes to playing, we go and let her play. Let her fall down, just like any other child. If it's anything, a birthday, celebrate with people. Whatever it is that we would give our elder child, we gave her. And with that, we learned, we've seen her open up. For example, because we exposed her, now she can read, even at a tender age of 4 years. And normally 4-year-old will not read sentences. And she began reading at 2 years old, because we made that conscious decision of whatever life we give this other child, we will also give you. And it is not in our power to write off. So maybe you could continue sharing with us another you said it's a cycle. So right now we have reached the part where we've transferred the shame. And I know a lot of transferring of shame is also by calling names. Calling our children of the people we are taking care of names. Maybe you could talk to us about that.
You've talked about calling names and also comparing them with other people. I would give an example, like now you see now when you include them now in school. And this child, since they are abled differently or they perceive things differently, you want to force this child akwe number one. So the child amekuja ayuko number one. Unataka kumtukana. You tell this child all this, all these bad words. And they are born with feelings. Even if their brain works differently, they are born with feelings, and the words are energy. So this energy that we are inflicting on our child, they make them feel like they are not loved, like they are unwanted. And then shame blocks innovation, shame blocks creativity, shame blocks. So they are living, they view their world in a perspective of they are not good enough. So now this child now is growing up. They're going through shame. they will inflict that shame on someone else. So you see now it's a cycle now. Yeah. So now you find they're becoming bullies, violent, because now there's this anger, anger of I'm not good enough, why am I not loved? And most of them, I've seen quite a number, they have anger issues. They have anger issues because now this is the energy you've put into them. So they will they're not understood.
And the caregiver does not want to take time to understand that child, because the caregiver may sometimes feel it's a waste of time, or what are you showing me? What are you telling me? So they just write them off. And a lot of them grow with anger issues. A lot of them grow with
anger,
bitterness, and you wonder why are these people very violent? It stems from shame.
And so you find when they're interacting with other children, watu ni kupigana. They're just fighting and I believe that no one was born with that energy of fighting. These are children. They are not born with that energy of fighting. So it's the caregiver is the one that has inflicted that feeling on the child. And this child, most of them, I don't know if they can be able to express themselves. And if they try to express, we invalidate their feeling. Yeah. And also another aspect of now they're going to school, they're interacting with other children, there's bullying. Because now, even us, society, parents have not taught our children to be kind to other, regardless of whether they are okay or not. So now, we have parents who are also intolerant to differences. Now their children are the same. So this child is constantly being bullied. They tell you, Mommy, I don't want to go back to that school. And so you're like, Apana, you don't even defend your child. You don't even come and give them a hug and tell them, oh, you know what? You are good enough the way you are, the way God created you. You're beautiful. You're worthy of love. And then you affirm them. Even if those ones, they don't love you. My love for you is enough. So that's how that cycle that goes on and on.
The fact that when let me call it, when you call our children names, that name sticks.
It sticks.
If you call your child stupid, trust me, that child will act stupid. Because remember, the power of life and death lies on our tongue. And any word that you speak, it goes to perform that which you've sent it to be. So if you want your child, whether neurodiverse or not, if you want your child to be who God created them to be, then you had better start speaking words of life into their life. Speak it. Tell them how great they are, how wonderful they are, how creative they are, and they will actually be that. So maybe now take us through, what can people identify in their life, or what things can they look at in their life to know, I am going through trauma, I am going through shame, I need help.
So the first I'll talk about the trauma part. First, for you to identify trauma, it's something that you went through that really hurt you, and you can't be able to process it like alone. You can't be able to figure it out or how to release it. And first of all, when you have anger, bitter, untold anger, you're just always angry, you're bitter. In your mind, what you're going through is always repeating in your mind. You walk with it you live with it every day. It's more like now you're in a state of victim. You're now, it's called the victim mentality. Yeah, so that shows that you went through trauma and you need to heal from it. So when you just felt like this, I did not deserve to go through this. So that is trauma. We have abuse, both sexual or verbal. Even sibling rivalry is also trauma, because it's something that hurt you, you know, when your siblings are picking up on you and
Because it's
anything.
not someone you
Yeah,
expected
yeah,
to
yeah.
do that.
Bullying, trauma, when you went through theft or loss, that is trauma. Death is also a traumatic event, especially if the death was sudden and ile yenye you didn't expect.
Someone that is,
Yeah, yeah. But now for death, we go through grief.
yeah.
Then is when we heal. Yeah. So now for shame, signs that that you're going that you have shame is first, um, lack of self identity. Like you acquire someone else's identity. Like you're always looking at someone else and you're thinking they are better than me. So like when you don't have your self identity, another another sign of shame is codependency. That's where you're a people pleaser. You want to please everyone, you want to fix everyone. Another cause of trauma is perfectionism. Another way you can know trauma, shame, sorry, is perfectionism. Everything has to be perfect. And all these things starts from childhood because you were always punished and made that, yeah, you were always made to feel like you're not good enough because you've done two small mistakes. So when you grow up, you want to be a perfectionist because if I'm not perfect, no one will love me. If I'm perfect, everyone will accept me and I'll be worthy of love. And, you know, so it's mostly a psychological thing. Anxiety, shame. Like anxiety is one of the telltale signs that you're going through shame because you're not confident enough. You're not confident enough to walk in the present. So you just have to fix, you know, you have to fix because if you don't fix, things will go wrong and maybe you'll not be good enough. You just have to control your whole situation and even the situation of others. So those are one of the telltale signs that you're going through shame. Anger is anger is shame bottled up because when you feel like you're not good enough, you have this anger, like resentment towards yourself. Why was I born this way? Why am I like this? Why? And this anger, you'll project it to someone else. So for me, when I see someone who is very angry, I'm like, this one kuna kitu tu, there's just something that they really need to heal from, which is shame.
And you're talking about anger, and a lot of parents with neurodivergent children are angry people. I remember I was also in that stage where I was constantly angry. Even you're just being asked a simple question, or someone is just calling your name, Edna, I'm like, what? Like something simple, I will react like, why are you calling me? What? You know, because now I used to feel like this child has robbed me of my life. This child has robbed me everything. Before I got my child, I was in a career where I would travel. I traveled. There is no county in Kenya that I have not been to. I would travel the world. I would be in aeroplanes day in, day out, you know. And you see now when this child came, I was in the house. Yeah. And now, like I told you, I'm a sanguine. So it took a toll of me. And now I projected that to my child. I was so angry with this child. So a lot of things to do with the child, I just didn't want it. I was just annoyed because I felt like this child has robbed me of. And whenever we'll go for therapy, for example, therapy seemed like a whole day. One, because of the long queues, and you had to wait for your turn. So we would spend there almost half a day or even like practically the whole day. And I would really get annoyed because now I'll feel like, now I've wasted my time being here. I would have been doing other things. And you see, the birth of this child came now. I had to leave my previous life. Remember, I told you I had anxiety. I felt like I'm the only one who can take care of this child properly. And hence, I could not be traveling all over the world. I had to remain behind and to stay with this child. So with that also came now now what other work can I do? Now if you see, when you've robbed me of my, of my skills. Of course, it was not true, because there are other forms of work you could do while you're seated in the home, or get a job where it's easier for you to come home and all that. But now I felt like, now you've robbed, this child now has robbed everything, including my skills. And so I lived a life of just mourning. I remember I mourned this child for a very long time. I mourned this child. It's as if they were dead. And really, to my brain, they were dead. That's why I was mourning them. That's why I wrote them off. Like, now you're worth nothing. You're not worthy of my love. You're not worthy of me taking care of you, because after all, what did you grow to become? And so when you're talking about anger issues, I have seen them. The simple, even when you're cooking, you're just angry. You're hitting the pot, and you're spilling the soup everywhere because you're angry. Simple things. When someone greets you, they just feel, hey, why are you angry? Even when they just look at you, you're just seated saying nothing, but someone will just, why are you angry? What's the issue? So I have been through anger. Yes. So any other?
I think also, I don't know if this will apply here, but blame game. If you see people who are just always blaming people for things, they never take responsibility for anything, that's a sign that you're going through shame, because shame always likes to be hidden. Shame does not like to be confronted, because we need to confront like the situation instead of hiding from it. Shame loves, you hide or you divert or you become defensive. Like now, the way you talked, you now create a wall, because you're like, now I don't want anyone to tell me that my child is not this way. So I will create a wall. Mtu mwenye anakuja hata I'll not even smile, because I don't want you to know, to come and find out that I'm not good enough. We're not, my child is like this. I don't want. So you become defensive. And people, you're like, no one even should come and visit me. They will find out,
Yeah. That's true. Blame game does happen, because you see, when you have a special needs child, sometimes the mother will blame the father that it's because of you we have this child, or the father blames the mother that it's because of you,
Actually,
you're in that
happens a lot,
situation because of yourself. So yes, a lot of blame game.
And that's what causes the break in these marriages. Because, and like the mothers are in the receiving end of that blame game. And then you see most of them, then the whole family members, the one that you married, their place has witchcraft, so just leave her. No wonder you got a child who is like this. So no one wants to look at the fact that, yes, this is the child we have. Now what do we do next? But everyone wants to divert. And that is shame. It's avoiding now the problem.
True. And a lot of pointing fingers. No, it's because of them. And you see, once you point a finger, or once you blame, it's because you've eliminated yourself.
You've eliminated,
which is safe, because your mind wants to keep you safe. Your mind wants to tell you have nothing to do with that. You're perfect, you're good. It's them with the problem. So take us through the healing process.
The healing process will also go through the same stage, because the receiving end is there, the child who needs support and care. So it starts from the caregiver. The first thing that you need to understand is the reason God did not hate you for giving you that child. And that is the first thing that we need to understand. And I can relate with also when I was trying to get to terms with the fact that I had this incurable condition. I realized that I was walking every day with the mindset that God does not love me. That's why He gave me this. But that is a very big lie, because God does not hate you. And He said, you know what, Edna, because I don't love you, I'm giving you this child. On the contrary, we don't. The Bible says, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans of good, to give you a future and a hope. Now, as our mind, which is so limited, because we have compared to other normal children, now we see that as what we were given was a punishment. But if you come closely to understand the goodness of God, you'll realize that God giving you this child was not a punishment. So it's first coming to terms that there's nothing wrong I have done, first of all, to be given this child. And God loves me, because it starts from God. It starts from God. And to know that, you know what, I am part of God's kingdom. Because now that it brings in a spirit of rejection. Because now you feel like I'm not part. Others were given normal, mimi nimepewa hii, so I'm the rejected one. So healing first starts from understanding that God loves you and he wants to walk this journey. He's the one who has given you this child. He was not daydreaming when he was giving you this child. He knows the journey and the steps. But what we do is we don't want to walk that journey with God. First, we want to just say, where was I? Yeah. Let's just, where I don't want to go it by God. And the first thing is to understand that first, God loves you. The second thing when it comes to healing is now coming to know yourself. Like you said, you researched, you found out you're not to blame. It's telling yourself, I am not to blame. I am a good mother. There's positive affirmations. I am a good mother. This thing that happened, it's only God. God is the one that made it to be that way, but it's for a good reason. And then we create our reality in our mind. So if you create the wrong mindset of your world, your reality will become that of what we create. And most of the time, the things that we are thinking, the worries that we have are really not the reality on the ground. So it's by first accepting that God loves you, then second, accepting that you are a good mother, that you are not to blame for whatever happened to your child. And also now that point of now coming to love yourself, because now you need now to start taking care of yourself, because caregivers,
We forget
you
ourselves
forget
a lot.
yourself.
Yeah,
You
that's
forget
true.
yourself.
Mm.
So it's first making yourself a priority. And me, I would just say just start loving yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you can't give birth to your children. And also another thing now is understanding that this child, like the neurodivergent children, for me, I find them more of supernatural than they call them what? How do we call them? Like they call them not normal, but me, I find them super normal in that they have different abilities. Yeah, they are very gifted. So the thing is to sit down and start affirming, I am blessed because I have been given this child. But most of the time we are like, I am cursed. And if you say you're cursed, your whole situation will just look like itakuwa tu cursed. Kila kitu watavunja TV, ni ukweli sijui you've created your own reality. So the moment you start seeing God is so good, he gave me this child, I am blessed, and I will bring out the best in this child, like the way you said you did with Nema, and indeed Nema has really improved. Yeah, and first of all, we stop, the reason why we are this way is because of society. Because I think society is to blame, because now we are comparing with my child with a normal child. Even when they're playing, you're like, this one should be better because they are this way. But who told you? Like, did God really write a manual and say because of this and this, these ones are this way? So we have written for ourselves our own manual and fixed it. Sasa huyu wangu is not good enough because yesi kama mtoto wa jirani. So when you've already fixed your mind, that is how your reality will be. But now you start looking at your child and seeing there's something good that can come out of this child because God said that his plans are good. So now you go back to what God said in his word, that his plans are good. Yes, and it's true, these children, they need a lot of support. But I'm feeling they need a lot of support because they carry a lot of greatness. Because greatness needs a lot of support. And greatness also suffers the greatest attack. So the reason why the reason why we are giving up so soon as caregivers, that's the plan of the enemy. Because this one has a lot of greatness in them. And now also for society. Society has created a standard. We need to be empathetic. There is no rule that was written that because this one is this way, this way, this way, and because this one is this way, this way, this way, this way, they will not amount to anything. So as a community, we all need to support this child. Because when I was doing my research, I found out that there are very many great people who are neurodivergent and have made a lot of impact.
Oh yes, there are
Very many. So I think I'll just read down the list just to encourage parents out there that it's it's not the end of the world. It's just the beginning. Yeah. This thing that you're seeing, it's in your mind because you are comparing. Actually, comparison is just the worst thing ever. So we have Isaac Newton. We all know Isaac Newton. He was part of the spectrum. We have Benjamin Franklin. We have Dan Aykroyd. He's an actor and film writer. Albert Einstein is scientific mathematician. We have Dalana. She's an actress, environmental activist. We have Anthony Hopkins, who is an actor. We have Tom Burton, who is a movie director. We have Charles Darwin, who was a natural geologist and biologist. We have Emily Dickinson, one of the best poets out here. We have Bobby Fischer, the chess grandmaster. We have Mchangelo, he was a sculptor and a painter. We have Elon Musk, actually, what most people, he's in the spectrum. So with all this, we've seen these great people. And the difference between these great people and the ones who are not great was these great people, they had support. That time, I'm sure there was no that diagnosis, but right now is when people are saying, okay, they used to behave this way, so it's in the spectrum.
Yeah, most of them either were autistic,
yes,
or had ADHD, or were dyslexic.
Yeah. So for us to put our child in a box, you will not amount to anything because you're not like child A, you're not like child B. And what they need is support. You see, these people, they are great. Like, I don't think there are other normal people who have, because most of these people are inventors. Very great inventors. So you see what I was talking about, greatness. Greatness requires support. Yeah. So yes, right now it will look like it's costly, it's time consuming, but for me, I believe that it was God's plan to bring the good. And the moment we change our mindset, it'll be so seamless. Because the reason why, when God gave you this child, He knew where the resources would come from. He knew where everything that is needed for this child to be how it is would be. And He chose the two parents. So God was looking at the aspects like, yeah, this one can carry this greatness. But it's because we're just used to normal. We're not used to the super normal. Yeah. We're not used to the super intelligent. So we're like, apana. Yeah.
You could be carrying the next Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So take heart.
Yeah.
So you've talked about, first of all, talking positive to yourself.
Yes.
Talking positive to your child. Accept the situation the way it is.
Yes.
Without adding, without minusing, just the way it is. Now, what next for this parent who is in the journey of healing Now, in terms of, you talked a bit about the community. Now, in terms of the extended families, those who have, for example, in my case, I have 2 children, one on the spectrum, one is not on the spectrum. So what next? How do we now involve now the first immediate family and then now the community at large in our journey of healing?
Okay, in our journey of healing, the first thing is also incorporating these other siblings, making them aware that there is nothing really much different. Like, it's creating that equal playground, the way you said, so they don't feel like, huyu ni kama ako adopted. You know, some of them say, wewe ni kama ulikuwa adopted, you're not part of us. So in the family is just creating a setup where there's just love and empathy amongst siblings. There was something I forgot to mention about the healing. You know, we are human beings. We go through, like, as a caregiver of the neurodivergent children, we get frustrated at times.
A lot of times.
Yeah, most of the time.
Most
actually,
of the time.
You get frustrated, you get tired.
Yeah.
You get so discouraged. Sometimes you get so discouraged. Maybe you feel like they are not meeting maybe the expectations
or the milestones
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
expected.
yeah.
You get so disappointed.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's a very
So
big one.
yeah, so healing is not running away from that feeling. Allow yourself to feel it. But when you're feeling it, it's not you're projecting to Nini. Allow yourself. Now, like, now, that's where now you need to have time with yourself, time with your maker, and now go to God. Because God said that, come to me, all who are weary, heavy laden, and I will give you rest. God does not want us kuficha hiyo nini ati you're frustrated, your nini, because once it piles up, you will project it. So you need to release it. Crying often is you know, yeah, crying is good. You just go to your bed and you tell God, today I'm so discouraged. I am so discouraged. Please take this discouragement away. And because I'm a Christian, we are Christians, we have a relationship with our Maker. And these feelings were made for a reason. They are feeling frustrated. You'll feel frustrated. You'll feel disappointed. So just going and naming that feeling. For us to heal fast, we have to feel that feeling for the body to naturally release it. But the moment we harbor it, it will stay. So the reason why that feeling is there is for you to feel it. Then after you feel it, the body will release. But what we do, we don't. You're frustrated, but you're projecting. So you just sit down and now name it. God, I'm feeling so frustrated. I feel like I'm really tired of this journey, but give me strength. I feel like I just feel like the world is falling apart. Name your feelings. Say whatever you're feeling. Tell it to yourself. Tell it. Do you know the moment it all ends, you finish talking about it, you will feel okay, because the body just wanted to release.
I love what you're saying, naming the feeling by name. You know what I realized as I was healing, what I realized I did not name my feelings. This is what I used to do. If someone would have asked me, how are you feeling? I would say, you know, today morning I went for therapy and we stayed there a whole day. And then now I came back, now I wasn't able to finish the work. And now my client is busy asking me for the report. I haven't written the report and all that. I haven't named the feeling. I'm just complaining. So what I needed to do, I later learned that anytime maybe I'm asked, how are you feeling? I should say, I feel frustrated. Or I feel heartbroken. I feel angry. I feel hungry.
I feel like I'm in rock bottom.
Yes, I feel like I've hit rock bottom at this point. A lot of times we explain the things around us, and that is also a way of like blaming and also projecting. Because I'm just telling you all these things that have piled up for me to feel frustrated, but I'm not mentioning the feeling of frustration. That is something that I had to learn. And by the way, it can be very heavy to call a feeling by its
It
name.
is.
Very heavy. I thought it's, you know, in your mind you think, I know what sadness is, I know what happiness is, I know what anger is, I know what all that is. But now mentioning it, whenever let's assume that someone has passed on, and someone is mourning and feeling this deep sorrow. Whenever you ask them, how are you feeling, they will say, my mother has died. That is not a feeling.
That's not a feeling.
That is not a feeling.
True.
Sometimes I would be in church, and maybe I'm just sitting somewhere, and maybe a friend who knows me will come and ask me, Myra, what's going on? I'll say my child is autistic. That is not a feeling. And I later had to learn how to name things by their name. It's only when you name it that you will conquer it. Yes. So I learned how to say, right now, I am feeling sad because I have gone through 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now, I'm feeling angry because I was to go for shopping, but because my daughter is having a meltdown, I have to cancel that and stay at home with them. Right now, I'm feeling annoyed because I wasn't, this naming it.
Those feelings are there to be felt. They're not there to be
avoided.
That's why they were created, for you to feel them in certain situations. And by naming them, like you've said, that's how you, even depression. I remember for me, when I used to get depressed, I used to tell my husband, I'm feeling depressed. I think I'm going into depression. And because I know now how it is, I know now, oh my God, this is actually depression. And I'm like, I think I'm feeling depressed. Then when I talk about it, I just feel like it goes. Because it needed an expression. Feelings they need expression. They don't need suppression. Because when we suppress, that's how now shame comes in. Shame takes its root. You'll start hiding.
You'll be going to social places and you're like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But deep down,
You're not okay.
You'll be faking this smile, trying to go along with everyone, but deep down, you're hurting, you're angry, you're going through all these emotions.
Yeah, also being vulnerable, because I know vulnerability is strength. Like now for you, you've come out and talked about the issue. You've made your life vulnerable to other people out there. Vulnerability is strength. The moment you become vulnerable, you're telling people, this is my authentic self. And this is the situation that we are in. And the moment you have already known your situation and accepted it, you will conquer it.
So now, thank you so much. I've learned a lot. I've learned how to identify shame and trauma, how to seek for help, steps in healing. Let's talk about your book. The book is called Breaking the Cycle of Shame, Cultivating a Culture of Empathy and Kindness in the Fight Against Shame. Breaking the Cycle of Shame. A very interesting book, I must say. Kindly tell us what inspired you to write this book.
Okay, what inspired me to write this book? It's something I went through, and God told me that since you have gone through it, I want you to teach other people. And so after that, I became so hypersensitive to shame. Like I would walk past someone and I would just feel like, okay, like, I don't know, it was like a gift that God put in me. But I got sad with the fact that the world is so intolerant to people. Intolerant, people are so unkind, people are so empathetic, and people are going through shame because of someone. Because someone told you something, because someone made you feel a certain way, because someone did an action to you that made you feel shame. So I wrote this book for us to identify the areas in which shame entered in our lives, and for us to heal from it. So because if I heal as an individual, we'll all heal as
as a
a
community.
community,
True.
and we'll all cultivate the culture of empathy and kindness. And the greatest commandment is love.
Yeah.
And that's what God told me, that I have called you. So for me, it's ministry, actually. God told me, I have called you to heal the brokenhearted.
Yeah.
People are broken. Why? Because someone inflicted shame to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you had talked about shame being a cycle. And I love
it's
that
a
you
cycle,
write here, it's breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
So we are here to break
Yeah,
that
we're
cycle.
here to break the cycle.
Once you heal, you've broken
You've
that
broken
cycle.
the cycle.
So I'm going to maybe read a few sentences that really caught my eye as or my mind as I was reading this. The topic is about being born different from the rest, and it says the person we may be admiring for the quote-unquote perfect body could also be admiring someone else's body, supposedly perfect in their eyes. We should learn to accept our unique qualities, remembering that God made us beautifully in his image and likeness. I love that last word, that last sentence. God made us beautifully in his image and likeness. That means when we look at the mirror, all of us, neurodivergent or not,
exactly,
we see the reflection of God.
Yes.
So who am I to tell Esther, you're like this, you're like that, you're not
You're
worthy?
not worthy of love.
It's
You're
like I'm
not worthy
telling
of
I'm telling
acceptance.
God, you're
Exactly.
not worthy of acceptance. You're not worthy to be
Actually,
here.
you're like telling God he did a mistake of creating you.
this other person.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was so profound. You need to have your own copy. So kindly get your copies of this wonderful book. You don't want to miss it. Whether you're buying it for yourself or you're buying it for someone else, everyone needs to read this book and break the cycle of shame. So maybe as we close, what word do you have for that caregiver out there who is, going through shame and trauma right now? What word do you have for them?
Okay, what word I have for them is that, first of all, God loves you, and he didn't give you this child because he hates you. It's in his plan. Yes, I know it doesn't look as if it's in his good plans, but it's in his plans. So just know that, one, you're loved by God, and two, love this child. Give this child all the love, all the affection. It will help. It will help them. It will help them. It will heal them, because love heals. Love is practically, it heals everything. So the moment you show your child love, and the moment you set your mindset and do not follow the mindset of society, the moment you set your mindset that something good will come out of this situation, trust me, everything good will come out of the situation that you're going through now. But I know it's a difficult situation, because I don't want to invalidate what you're going through. But just know that God said that give him all the burdens and he will give you rest.
What do you have for family members who are surrounding these people with neurodivergent children, or these caregivers who are taking care of special needs children, their close family members and the society, community at large?
Okay, what I want to tell them is, let's support this, our family members, our relatives who have the neurodivergent children, because they're going through a lot. I wish we would be so empathetic and put ourselves in their shoes. Let's not throw words at them. Let's just support them. If you don't have anything nice to say, please just don't say anything. Let's just be there for them, because even these caregivers who are taking care of this neurodivergent, they need our support, they need our love, and they need our care.
Where can people get you for those who would want, your services as a trauma and shame healer for maybe one-on-one sessions? Where can people get you, and where can they buy your book? And also, if you don't mind sharing your social media handles, kindly let us know.
You can get me in Facebook. I have a page. I started a page. It's called Breaking the Cycle of Shame. So you can get me there. You can DM me. We can talk. We can get time to talk on a one-on-one basis. And also you can follow me on TikTok. I'm called Esther at Shame and Trauma Healing. And also the number, if you want the book, the number will be written down in the description. And also if you want, there's the hard copy and the soft copy. So if you want either of those, kindly contact us, and yeah, you will get the book. Yeah.
The link and all her social media platforms will be on the description box, or at the first message that will be pinned. So please contact her if you're going through shame or know someone who is going through shame and trauma and you need help. Kindly contact her and she will be part of your healing journey. So thank you so much, Esther. Thank you for gracing our podcast today. I know our viewers have learned a lot, and they're still going to learn a lot as they purchase your book. Thank you for bridging that gap between us, what we are going through, and the healing journey. Your services will be felt. And I love the fact that you've said that this is a ministry. So you're doing it out of I believe God cannot give you something that you've not conquered. So because you conquered, now you have the knowledge, the wisdom to take someone else through. And the fact that we don't have to learn from our own experiences, we can learn from yours. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
You're much
for having me.
Yeah, you're very appreciated. Just don't know how much. By the way, fun fact, Esther and I were neighbors,
Friends.
and childhood friends. Our parents were neighbors. So automatically we're childhood friends. We played a lot in their house. So Mama Esther, where you are? We are the ones who are tunachafua nyumba, we played a lot. And now we are neighbors. We found out that we're neighbors just a while ago. And it's amazing. History repeated itself, and our children are friends. Very good friends at that. So it's like a history repeating itself. So thank you very much, Esther. Yeah, karibu sana. So thank you, our audience, for listening to this wonderful episode of Mother's Voice. So I hope that this episode has touched you to become a better person, to be more kind, to be more empathetic, just to a person, because we just need to change one person at a time. Thank you for partnering with us, whether this podcast has made you give support or just listen with an open heart. We thank you for being part of this podcast. Thank you for the amazing, amazing interaction we are having in our previous episodes. We love it that you're sharing your thoughts. We love it that you're sharing what you're going through, because someone else is learning. And the next episode will be out. So you want to subscribe. You want to subscribe on all our platforms, whether it is YouTube, whether it is Apple Podcasts, whether it is Spotify, or any of your favorite platforms that you listen your podcast to. Kindly subscribe, leave a review so that we may be able to reach out to as many people as possible, those who can be part of our great community where we partner to make this world an inclusive, better place to live, where every child and every neurodivergent person is heard, loved, and nurtured well. So thank you so much for listening to us. I'm your host, Edna Myra, and this is Mother's Voice.